Hail to the primal light. Hail to the true light. Hail to the transparent light. Hail to the light without beginning nor end. Welcome and thank you for joining me for stillness and self inquiry. Today I will be talking about how did the self come into being. Hail, 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 hail to the primal light. Hail to our primal light self. Aten Ra. Hail, hail, hail. Hail to our primal light self. The primal light self manifest. Hail, hail, hail. Hail to our next primal light self, the the primal light self on manifest. Hail, hail, hail. Hail to our next self, um, the void self manifest. All of ourselves are in alignment to bring balance to the world. Hail, hail, hail. Hail to our void on manifest baby self. Hail, hail, hail. Hail to our true pure self, the unified self, our non dual self, the void on manifest. Hail, hail, hail. Hail to the primal light. Thank you again for joining me. I am the void on manifest. I am primalite, prepared for the world with this self identity as Auset, Aten Ra. I am the liberator and I advocate for all selves. Now, why, you may ask, that I am claiming to be the liberator and that I advocate for all selves. I want to explain this because many ones are under ignorance and no one has asked me this question. All they have done is just send me ridiculous things that their delusional mind is making up. Your mind is delusional. Your mind is the tainted consciousness as a baby mind. This is what everyone in the world, in human being form, is wearing. And so your mind cannot be trusted because your mind has no light. Your mind is deceitful. Why is it from you were very young, your mind is telling you lots of negative things? Why is the mind telling you all of these negative things? Because your real self is being enslaved by the mind. The mind has always been the greatest deception and still is the greatest deception in the world. Many ones don't realize that the evil is within them, within their mind. And so once you can identify that evil exists in your mind, and you know that you are not this mind, and neither are you this body, but the self, which the mind is telling all these negative things, that is what you are. The mind is imprisoning the self. The mind does not want the self to rise up. So, why am I claiming to be the liberator? Because I liberated myself from my own mind. I was held imprisoned by my mind, and also I was being imprisoned by all my disembodied selves, the ones who are exploring the world as the magnetic beings, because we have fragmented ourselves to come inside of this dream, and we are coming in the dream fragmented. I am the feminine self. I the my masculine self is exploring separated from me. I made replicas of myself and they were exploring the world separate of me, because we are coming into the duality and we want to do so many things. We're so excited, right? At our supreme self level, we are creating this dream. And so when us now as the baby primalite come into being, we are at the screen of the world, and we're so excited to come in. So we make replicas of ourselves because we say, oh, I want to know what it is like to be a boy. I want to know what it is like to be a girl. Oh, I want to know what it is like to explore in a body. I want to know what it is like to explore not in a body. I want to know what it feels like to explore with my light on or my light off. And so we are taking up all of these different characters so that we can play these many characters inside of this dream, inside of this movie, this life movie. And so this is why we have fragmented ourselves, and we are just fragmented selves into this dream existence. And we are in here. Once we come in here and the mind, the duality mind took over, it took over the self, it imprisoned the self, and we have not been able to wake up and rise up. Many ones have not been able to do this. Very few are able to rise up and get this mind off of them, because the mind is laying on top of you. I want to show you this right now. This is how you are existing right now. The mind is laying on top of you. You are obscure behind the mind. That's you behind the mind. The mind is laying on top of you, and the mind is telling you all these negative things. And you're saying, why is my mind telling me I am not good enough? I am ugly. You don't look right today. All these things the mind is saying. The mind is telling you these things so you won't have confidence in yourself. This is why I am the liberator, because I liberated myself, and I am here to help to share with everyone else how to liberate themselves, and also how to advocate for all of the selves that is imprisoned in this world, because I am in alignment with all of our supreme selves. All of the supreme selves is myself at the supreme self level. I am here as the baby self level. All is myself exploring on every level, but taking different forms to experience different things in the duality, to learn about different aspects of the duality. So this is why we have fragmented ourselves, and we is the trick. The mind is a trickery, deception, so that we think that we are the mind character, because now everyone is in the mind character. And so now is the time when everyone have to call within themselves to their supreme teacher within yourself soul, so that the supreme teacher will pull this mind off of you, so that you can finally return back to being your real and true self. And so, what is the self, and how did the self come into being? This is the question, right? And so let's start out with the step one of this book, Soul Seeds, with self-realization. Journey to true self. Who am I? This is the question you want to ask. Because why? Everyone in the world is making an assumption. You are making an assumption, and you think all of these things, like the body and the mind and all of the things that you have gathered onto yourself, you're thinking that it is yourself. And you have never asked yourself, soul, you come into this dream existence, and you hear one's talking about soul, one talking about spirit, and that you need to give it to some deities. But you never ask yourself, soul, who are you? What is a soul? Why do I need to give this soul to the deities, to God, to Jesus, to Allah, to Krishna, to Elohim, all of them, to all of the so-called ancestors, the deities, Shango. Um, there's so many names. I have forgot all the names of them. You know, why do you need to do this? Because all of the deities, they are yourself exploring the world with no light in the magnetic form, because the mind and the consciousness has taken over them, and this is what the problem is. So this is why you have to come to true realization, and you have to ask yourself, soul. Don't put your soul in slavery. Don't listen to what your delusional mind tells you. You have to question within yourself, soul. This is the only way that you will know the truth, because only your self soul has light on. This is the reason why all of the deities, the gods, Jesus, and all of them, this is why they are campaigning to get your soul, because your soul, only your soul knows. So you're following Jesus. Jesus does not know. Jesus is in ignorance. Allah is in ignorance. Elohim, Krishna, all of them is in ignorance. This is just the God gangs. So you're really just choosing one of the God gangs over another God gang. Don't choose any God gang, because what they're doing is they're making rivalry with each other for your soul. They want your soul, and you don't want your soul, because what? You don't know who you are. You are under false self-identification, because you don't know who you are. You don't know yourself. This is why you are giving your soul away. And for all those ridiculous, delusional minded ones who are telling me that I am sick and I need Jesus, you are telling me this because you're in ignorance. Why would I need Jesus? Jesus is myself in ignorance. Jesus does not know himself. Jesus is a dream character, a mind being, one of the God beings. God being meaning that you have no light, you are exploring the world in darkness as a magnetic being. While I am exploring the world balance, I am electromagnetic. and this is the what they want, the light. So I say it's time for you, everyone in the world now, to start inquire within yourself, ask yourself, and trust yourself, because the mind has programmed you that you will not love yourself, you will not trust yourself, you will trust everything outside of yourself beside your own soul. Everyone else wants your soul, and you're the only one that don't want your soul. Because why? You're in ignorance. You're in ignorance, and you're being idiotic to want to give it away to some other being to enslave you. That's all they have been doing. Once they're holding your soul, they swallow it within themselves. And this is how God said He put you in hell or heaven. Because when He swallow your soul, He put the soul in hell. You're not feeling it physically because you are wearing the mind avatar. You are this God being, just like them, not in ignorance of themselves. The only thing is that you are 50% because you have the self soul, your self soul with its light on, which is your parent self for you. And they are exploring 100% ego with no light on for them. They do not have a soul self that is with the light that's guiding them. Your soul is the one that has been guiding you and doing all these great things for you, and you're thinking that it's some God that's doing it. No, it's your soul. Everything that has been done good for you is your soul that has been doing it. Yeah, your soul has been guiding you and directing you because you are and animating the body as the baby self, which is the self of the soul. The soul is there as the watcher, observing and taking notes. And so this is why, I am the liberator and I am the advocate. And so you have to ask the question, who am I? You have to self inquire to know, and you have to put this mind in stillness. This mind has been chatting for ages. It's time this mind stop chatting now. This is the age of stillness. When the mind must go into stillness, stop listening to your mind. Still your mind so that yourself can, Supreme Teacher within can rise up, so that your soul can rise up from stillness. The only way your soul will rise up is if your mind go into stillness. So who am I? This is the question you want to ask. Ask the question of yourself, soul. How to awake to my conscious awareness and see beyond the illusion. You must come awake so that you can see beyond the illusion, to see that you are inside of a dream, to see that you, the baby self, is sleeping and you are exploring the world as a mind avatar, and you are identifying yourself as all kind of things which you are not. You must drop this false self-identification. Did you know that the soul is your real self? Our self soul keeps us balanced and good, not the gods. The gods are deception, chaos, evil, all bad things, negative thoughts. These are the gods. The self soul has fragmented itself into three separate selves. Its three self consciousness also arises to come into this dream world to explore it from different levels of perspective of the duality. The task has always been to assemble back in union all of these separated selves into one unified self. Never, never for serving any gods or for this ego mind to put the self in slavery. Never did you come into being to be a slave to your other selves, exploring the duality in ignorance as the supreme ego, duality mind dream characters. Stop searching outside of yourself and get busy merging yourself back in union. So right now I am going to show you how you separated yourself before you came into this dream existence. Because we are exploring the world and we are fragmented. When you came into existence, the self rise first, because the feminine is exploring separately from its masculine self. So the usual thing is that they are existing as one self, just like this. But because of the duality and the self want to experience and explore lots of things, it separates itself so that the masculine is exploring separately from the feminine. And the way this first happened is that when the atom was shattered, this is when the masculine and feminine aspect was separated, because this is how in duality all of the elements can be bind together to create myriads of different things. Because if if the self was not shattered, the self atom was not shattered, which is what we call the big bang. The big bang is when the atom was shattered. And when the atom was shattered, this is how we fragmented, the self got fragmented now into tiny particles. And this is why now we can explore the world with our masculine self separated from our feminine self, because we can take the atoms, because the masculine is the protons and the feminine is the electron, is the neutrons, and the light is the electrons. And so what's happening now, this in to create everything in this duality, it's been mixed in different ways, you know, the electron, the protons, and the neutrons are being mixed in different format as the elements, you know, as the the table of elements, to create many different things, myriad of things in the world. So this is the chemistry and all of those things, you know. So this is why we are fragmented. So we are exploring the world. The feminine rise up, separated, because it's already has been fragmented, where the masculine, um, the magnetic energy is separated from the feminine. So here they are, right? Void between them. They rise up, the self rise. It's masculine aspect rise also. This is called the self consciousness. This is called the self. And the void is between them. And the light rose, you know, with them, and the consciousness rose as the mind from this energy, because everything is fragmented. When the self rose up like this, it has its light. This is the in the baby self, primal light self, which is the self, which is what we call the self soul. This is magnetic self, which is the self consciousness, which is the male, the masculine. This is the feminine. So now that the self has risen up, the self now want to, oh, it's so excited to come into being. The self wants to explore the world. It see all of these amazing things in the world, and it's at the entrance, the screen to come into the world. So when you at the screen, you were first given by Aten Ra the the um the non-dual consciousness. So you're in awareness. You write out your destiny as this self. You write out your destiny as the self. Your masculine aspect of yourself writes out its destiny. You're gonna explore separately, but eventually you have to come together as a unified self for whatever the task that you have to perform as a unified self. All right. So you wrote out your destiny of what you want. Then what you're doing now is You're making self replica. So you make your first self replica, and you say to this self replica, you are going to be my self replica that is going to explore the world disembodied. You are not going to be in a body. You're going to explore the world. You're not going to fragment yourself anymore to have a baby self with you. So the same thing happened now. So once the self make a self replica, then its self consciousness also arises. Self consciousness arises. Its masculine aspect of itself arise. So they make one self, but they are going to explore the world separately. All right, and I'm telling you this based off of all of myself, all of my experience that I have had. And so this self is saying, no, okay, so whatever this self does, this one is going to do. So they're both going to explore disembodied. So this the masculine aspect and the feminine aspect is going to explore the world disembodied. This is yourself that everyone in the world now is worshiping as the gods. All right. So these are the deities, the ones that are exploring disembodied. They're not in awareness of themselves, and so the next self now, and each of the self have to write out their destiny with you. What you made another self replica, and you say to this self replica is going to come into the world as as another as another human being like you. It's gonna go into the world just like you as a human being, right? So you have this self replica with its masculine aspect that is going to explore the world invisible. It's gonna be your invisible self, while your other self is gonna be visible because it's gonna go into the visible world. And this self is gonna go into the invisible world and stays in the invisible world to explore it. um then you make another self replica, and this one now, this is the self replica now that is going to come into the world, into the body, just like you are going to do into the visible world. So the visible world, the invisible world, you are also going into the visible world, and so is your self-consciousness, your masculine aspect of yourself, right? Then now within you make a baby self, because you're going to carry the baby self within your body. So is this your masculine aspect of yourself, the original self. So you enter into the world now as the you enter into the world as the self, and you are exploring the world. So all of these selves, you're encountering them into the world, but you don't know that they are yourself. This is the problem. You're under false self-identification. So this is why, you have to come into realization that all is myself and I alone exist. It's only one self. And even you, as this separated, fragmented self, you have fragmented yourself even more. Like I just showed it to you, how you just did that, you know? So this is how the self soul came into being. This is how the self soul came into being as the baby self primalite of Aten Ra. Because Aten Ra is exploring the world as the neutron self. She is the giver of light, and her Aten Ra masculine aspect of self also is exploring separately from her. She is exploring as a non duality, and her masculine aspect of herself, which is the proton, is exploring the world in the duality. And for ages, her masculine aspect of herself, which is Amen, has always been trying to enslave her into the dream. So she herself had to explore the world um, as Brahman, which is she she made herself into a masculine self by creating an avatar with her mind. She was using her mind avatar. Yeah, she was exploring the world in an avatar, and everyone thought that she was um she was masculine, just so that her own masculine aspect of herself would not imprison her inside of the dream. And so she she is now Atenra is now merged with Amen as oneself. Atenra and Amen is oneself, but they were they were previously in the world separated, right? And now they are merged together as oneself to bring balance to the world. So this world is moving into balance, y'all. Atenra had made 3 self replicas. She have herself plus 3 self replicas. So her 3 self replicas are not the primal teacher, um, and Supreme Ra. Supreme Ra is the self of Aten Ra, that is the world. And Supreme Ra body is played by Geb and Amun Ra. Geb is the visible world, and Amun Ra is the invisible world. And Amun Ra is the world that is below the earth. And so the supreme teacher, the primal teacher, is the first self replica of Aten Ra. And she makes she also explored the world separately from her masculine self, which is Osiris, which is now known as Shiva Shambho. And so the supreme teacher makes in every one of us babies, baby teachers, baby supreme teacher, which is in dormancy, in stillness within every self soul of the supreme teacher within, because Atenra knew that this world was going to be um, an illusion, and it was going to be a deception. And this is the reason why within everyone it was encoded within you, to that the supreme teacher within would rise up from stillness when you still the mind, and from self inquiry. So it is so simple what to do. This is why many ones have overlooked the simplicity of what needs to be done, because Aten Ra knew that the mind was going to be so deceptive. Because look at all the leagues that we have in the world, and all of the separatism that we have in the world, and the prejudice and the hate against each other. She knew that these things, that the mind was going to be so deceptive, that she made sure that it was going to it was going to be very simple code of how to come back into the real, and so that everyone could crack these code by just stilling the mind, because the mind is the deception, the mind is the evil in the world. And once you come into realization that your mind is something wrong with your mind, then you are halfway to your truth. You have to come into this realization that there's something wrong with your mind. Your mind is habitual. Your mind has always been programming, telling you negative things. The mind is making you do all kind of things. The mind is getting into these habits that you cannot break out of these habits. Yeah, the mind is evil, bringing evil thoughts to you. The mind is looping you in imagination and a memory. The mind cannot seem to stay still and stay in the present. The mind is the root of all evil. And this is what the problem is in the world. And no one is looking to see that the problem is their mind. They're looking outside of themselves and looking for someone to come and save them and to save your soul. This is such a ridiculous notion. This is the ignorance that everyone is under, to think that your mind is your problem, but you are looking outside of yourself for someone else whose mind is its problem to come and save you. Your savior is within you. Your self soul. Your self soul is the only one into this world with the light. You have a soul. You have your soul's light. Your soul has been guiding you and protecting you and doing all of these things for you. But you are never looking within to ask the soul. You ask the soul and you're going to be surprised how the soul answer you. Because remember, it's separated from you. You have yourself and you have your self soul, and this is the baby self who is animating the body with the mind. They are sticking together as one sheet spread throughout the body. This one sheet spread throughout the body, and you are exploring the world. You in the body, program into the body, while your self soul is loosely attached. This is why the gods them can steal it, and you can be with the body, and your soul is somewhere else, and you don't even know that you don't have your soul because you have enslaved your soul and put it in prison. It, yeah. So know this truth that we are in prisoners inside of a dream by the mind. The sooner everyone in the world can come to the realization that the mind is the root of all evil, you can liberate yourself. Because now I just explained to you how you came as the self, how the self came into the world, how the self frag as came into the world as a fragmented self, and now is your time that you need to join in union all of yourselves so that you can come awake while you're inside of the dream. Instead of falling asleep inside of the dream, you come awake in the dream and see things the way that they are. You must see things the way that they are, because this is the problem in this duality dream existence. And many ones are thinking that this dream world is the real, because why? Your mind is delusional. You are inside of a dream. The only thing that is real in this world is your self soul and its baby self, the spirit that is animating this body. The only thing real is yourself. Nothing else is real here. The dream character that you are playing is not real and can only exist in the dream. To exit this dream, you have to give up this dream character, which meaning that the ego that's laying on you, that is creating this character, has to be pulled off of you so that you can return back to being your real true self. Yes, this is what must happen for everyone in the world right now, that we are going into stillness, right? You have to, right? So let's make the formation. And this formation is just to bring the mind into stillness so that you can form a habit, form a good habit. Because the mind is habitual. And so you're taking away a bad habit from the mind, you want to replace it with a good habit. So with a habit that's going to bring balance to the self and to the mind. So You are joining your hands, your two thumbs together. Your right hand is on top of your left hand. And now, see that space right there, that triangular space? This is where you're going to bring your mind down into that space, because this is where you're going to put it on your chest, center of your chest. And you're going to bring your mind down, bow it down. Visualize it going through that triangular space to go into the void. Because this is how you are going to purify your mind. You have to bring the mind to stillness. Yeah, stillness is the remedy for the mind. And I want you to chant with me: I am not this body, I am not this mind. I am not this body, I am not this mind. I am primal light. I am self luminous. I am luminous, pure consciousness. I was never born, so I can never die. And so you want to just continue in stillness so that there is no chattery in your mind. And then you are going to ask, who am I? Who am I? How did I come into being? What is the source of my existence, allowing me this world experience? Who am I? Who am I? And you just ask quietly within yourself. And now we will do the first vibration. This vibration, breaks up the magnetic energy from around you that the mind has cocooned around you so that you can liberate yourself. And while you are saying, I want you to spiral it around your body. So let's try that. And now for the second vibration. And now we will try the third vibration. Awesome. So I have the space being on me right now. It's called a gun, and it is giving me a fight. So that's why it's fighting me right now. Trying to wanting to stop me from saying what I'm saying and doing what I'm doing. Awesome. 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 And so, this is the battle that I fight to make the way clear for you so that you won't have to fight this battle because this is my destiny. And so, right now, this is why I say that I am the liberator and I advocate for all selves. So, liberation, slavery from all oppression, from all tyranny. Liberation from slavery, liberation from all tyranny, liberation from this dream existence, liberation from all oppression by these mind beings, these duality magnetic beings, my deceptive, ignorant aspect of myself who has been enslaving us inside of this dream for ages. Liberation from all deities, all gods, Jesus, Allah, Krishna, Elohim, Jehovah, the Anunnakis, Enki, Egon, Olubatalawa. What I don't even can't even remember the pronunciation of that name. What's the other ones? Oshun, liberation from all of them. The age of ignorance is over, and now is the age when all of the self must come into true self-realization. You must give up this ego, this mind character, take off this ego costume, take off the disguise that you are wearing, take off your mask, and return to being your true self. Your ego disguise is a torture. The self is terrified. The soul is terrified of all. It's this ego being, these mind characters All the ones in the world talking about giving your soul to Jesus, and all the ones who are claiming Allah, Krishna, and all of them, and all the ones who are claiming all the deities, you have no idea how the soul is terrified of these monstrosities. You have no idea how they look. They're very monstrosities, these reptilian beings. Because if you see them as a human being in this human being form, you'll be terrified of them. Do you know why? Because they are creation of the mind. The mind has no light. So the mind cannot create anything of balance. The mind create monstrosities. This is why they are all of these reptilians, and they have this monstrosities that they are, because they are creation of the mind, and they are evil. The mind cannot create anything with balance, because the mind is in ignorance. The mind doesn't have its light. So all of you mind being who are sending me ridiculous messages, you are just advertising your ignorance. Everyone in the world is under ignorance like you, because you're all sleeping. There's only a small percentage of ones who has come into this realization and truth of themselves, and is not wearing this ego avatar in the world right now. A very small percentage of ones that is doing that, and many of them, these ego characters that you are worshiping, has taken hold of them and is making them do a lot of negative things in the world. They are the gurus and the pastors, because the deities have taken a hold of them, and have making them do a whole lot of craziness. Yeah. So you have to be balancing yourself all the time, and know that all is yourself, and you're the only one in existence. You have fragmented yourself. You have come into this dream, and you need to know this truth. Stop claiming this ego, this dream character that you are claiming as yourself. I just explained to you how the self, the soul came into being. And the next time I will explain how the Supreme Selves came into being. But the self, the soul, came into being from as a baby primalite, the baby self of Aten Ra. Aten Ra, she is the supreme creator of the world. Her self replicas becomes the world. Her self replica, which is the world, is um, Supreme Ra. And to become the world, Supreme Ra has a body, just like we are in a body. Supreme Ra has a body, which is one of her self replica, and one of the self replica of the primal teacher, which is Geb, which is the the visible world, that when you're in the body you explore that world, and the invisible world, which is Amun Ra, which is the self replica of Supreme Ra. You explore that world when you just come into existence. You enter in there until you get into a body, and when you go to sleep in the night, you enter into Amun Ra, because you have to go there in sleeping. So you're twice in a sleep, and it is below the earth. And you also go when you become disembodied, and you leave the out of this body, and you go there. So this is the visible world and the invisible world that we exist in. And this is how we are exploring the world. We have self as ours who are inside the invisible world exploring it. We have self of ours that is in the visible world exploring it. We have our magnetic self separating from us exploring, because you want to know what it is like to explore just as a masculine. what it is like to explore as the electromagnetic beings, as a balanced being. Because this is why you are an electromagnetic being. You have the ability, you are in a higher position than the gods that you are worshiping, the deities that you are worshiping. You're in a way better position than they are. You have yourself soul with you, while they do not have any light at all. But you are so stupid and ignorant that you give them yourself soul and you go into darkness and following what they are telling you. They're in darkness. They cannot tell you the truth. Everything that they are telling you is from their imagination. They do not know the truth, so they make up stories. Look at all the stories they made up and told you. Many ones come in later on into the world and realize that those stories does not make sense. They're just making up stories. Their mind do not know the truth. And so it's time for you to stop following blindly and seek your truth from where? From your self soul. Because why? Your self soul is your real self. Stop putting your self soul into slavery. The time now when the world is moving into balance, all of our supreme selves are in alignment to bring balance to the world. Liberation from this dream existence. Liberation from all slavery and tyranny. All is myself, and I alone exist, and all of myself must return unto me. Everything that I have created, I demolish. Everything that I have created, I demolish. I demolish all demons, all monsters, all devils, all satans, all of this duality existence. I demolish it. I am free from my imaginary bondage. I return to my ultimate true state. I transition from being to non being. I move effortlessly with ease from manifest to unmanifest. I am one with all. Hail, hail to the primal light. Hail, hail to our void self, the unmanifest. I am stabilized in myself. I am the unmanifest. I am primal light taking form, the baby self of Aten Ra. I am the liberator and the advocate for all selves. I am taking this form and this self-identity as Auset, Aten Ra. I want to thank you for joining me today. I bow to you in love, in light, and in truth. Hail, hail, hail to the primal light self, Aten Ra. Hail to self-manifest primal light self. Hail to a primal light self, the unmanifest. Hail to our void self, void manifest, unified self. Hail to our void self, the baby unmanifest, unified self. Hail to our void self, pure true self, the void unmanifest, the unified, non-dual, pure true self. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All is myself, and I alone exist. And all of myself must return unto me. This world is moving into balance, y'all. We're moving into balance, liberation From this dream, we're returning to non duality.